So today, because Florian doesn't allow me to be considered young anymore, I'll be moderating Kanika Dayal, who is the director of business development at Impact Research in India. Kanika, please come forward. Esteban González Wensjoe, who is the CFO at Imedia Comunicaciones and actually the CEO right now. And Pietro Biglia, who is the marketing specialist at L'Eco della Stampa. Good. So we thought that today we would take advantage of three of the brightest young minds in our industry to ask them a few questions so that they can help us see where our future lies, especially right before the old brains in the industry speak in about 30 minutes, right? Pietro, I understand you have a very peculiar position. You are in a very old company, a market leader, as opposed to, I understand, Impact and Imedia are important companies in their markets, but you are actually the market leader, which is something I sympathize with. Give me 1 second. And you have a position that is very uncommon in our market, which is a marketing position. Why did L'Eco della Stampa choose to create a marketing position? And as marketing manager for them, what is your objective? What is the image you want to create for our industry and for your company in your market?
Well, yes, L'Eco della Stampa, it's true, it's a market leader in Italy, and the name in Italian means what in French means L'Argot de la Presse, which relates to a very old traditional business and which is hard to market nowadays, where there is social media, media are digital, and if you want to bring up a social media monitoring platform, a platform that will monitor the online as well as the print, it's hard to be L'Eco della Stampa. So when I came to L'Eco della Stampa, there was no communication at all before. Also because we were a bit scared, being the market leader and the market monopolist for many years, that the other companies could steal our clients, which they still do, of course, but we now understand how to defend ourselves from them.
There is a thing we always say inside the company. When you're the market leader, your client accounts can only go down because
Yes.
you have them all.
Exactly, because the one to target is your client. And the good thing is that many of our clients stick to us, and maybe sometimes they go, then they come back. What we learned is how to communicate and how to try to make the brand L'Eco della Stampa a bit more digital, even if it's very, very hard with the name. You know, the naming is very important. For instance, I will tell you this. In Italy, there are many publications with different names. Many of them, local publications, are named L'Eco di Bergamo, L'Eco di Padova. Like, there are cities, and when you come, you say, I'm L'Eco della Stampa, if they don't know you already,
They think you're a media.
Yes, they think you're a media. So that's...
The same happens to us. Global news. Everyone thinks we're a media all the time.
Exactly. That's both a struggle, but on the other side, being marketing, you can use it as an advantage sometimes. You know, we did many things, like we have our own blog, we do things, we try to interest a bit the client. Mm-hmm. So sometimes someone thinks I'm a journalist, which is not true, but it might give us a bit of more of appeal in some situations.
At least free tickets for a lot of music shows, I can imagine.
Yes, yes.
We get them.
Yes.
Good, good. And as marketing manager, what is your objective for the image our industry has in your market?
Well, clients are always, their attention to our messages is always more hard to get, because everyone has something to say on social media, on all the media. And so our goal is to market our products, market our updates on the platform, and by doing that, you need to give them some value. Otherwise, they won't listen to you. So we try to give them a little bit of value, a little bit of something, articles, interviews, something that they might understand, they might like, not coming from the media monitoring, but made by our own selves. So we create content to try to market our products on the just after that.
Good. Kanika, how are you doing? Yes. Just without bad-mouthing Asim anymore, tell me, one of the main problems we have as an industry, and I see as a growing problem in many industries, is the lack of appeal for young people to come work into the industry. What do you think is the image young people have of our industry, if any, and how can we, as managers, improve that, work on that, okay?
In fact, that's brilliant that you asked me that. We were discussing this at lunch, that it's very hard to attract talent in our industry, purely because there is no knowledge out there that, we do some fantastic work and we have a lot, of potential. In fact, I can speak for business development and sales, that we have a very high churn on an annual basis, like new people come and they leave,
Employee churn, you
employee
mean, not
churning
client
sales.
churn, yeah.
Yeah. And when I'm interviewing new people for the position, I have to start with telling them what we do and who we are and how exciting it is for them to join us and learn it on the spot. And I think we really need to work in the direction of educating young talent and attracting them in joining our industry, because we can have as much technology as you may like, but in the end, it's people who are talking to clients. And if they love them personally, they would, stick for longer.
I've been coming to these things for about 12 years, and it's been something every year. There's been some kind of discussion about the lack, at least not sometimes on the panels and sometimes off the panels, but there's always been a discussion about the lack of attraction for talent. So what can we ask them, the ones who run the industry, to change so that in the future we can attract more talent? And this I will ask to Esteban, and then you can answer if you want, but this way, yeah.
Well, I think to be completely fair, it depends on the area of your company also, because I don't know about all of them, but different areas from my company have different appeal for different people. At IT, to be fair, in Peru, I have no problem to get people to work with me, because, the work that people do in Peru in IT is usually not that great, and developing software and stuff like that we do in-house is pretty good for them, so that's easy. Hiring people to sit and do media monitoring on a TV, that's not easy. That's a job that people do fresh out of college or even in college, kind of like as interns. I don't really know how can you appeal for people to do more than that. So the area that I would focus, to be fair, is areas in strategic planning and in accounts. We our account people are very important to us because they are the ones who hold the relationship with the clients. Nobody knows about media monitoring in Peru. I don't know about your countries, but in Peru it's nobody knows about this. It's just non-existence. And so every time that someone leaves and we have to hire someone new, they come oh, what is this? You explain it to them, and then I feel like the attractiveness for them would be, for instance, we give them Fridays off in the afternoon. We try to make it an HR good environment, more than attract them to the product itself. And that has worked for us right now, because unless you're doing AI and very trendy things, a lot of millennials are not gonna look and say, oh, I wanna do this for the rest of my life. So you have to make it comfortable for them to stay. And we try to do that in the place that we need to, and in the other places, just pay them fairly.
Interesting. What you're saying, and let me see if I can recap. correctly, is that instead of being industry branding issue, the solution that you propose is always on HR benefits for the employees, right? Yeah. Kanika, I think you want to...
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I don't think there's a way in which we can increase awareness at a level that people know about us before they come and interview, because it's still a very small sector and we are competing with, for example, in sales, we're competing with IT companies and media companies that have bigger salaries and a very attractive work environment, and we can't compete with that, right? So the way I look at this is, if I do find somebody worth hiring, and I feel that I need to convince them to join me, I go all out. Like, I'll spend hours with them trying to tell them about the kind of work that we do. And, you know, I tell them about what a great work environment we have and the great leadership that we have. And, you know, and we work out flexible ways in which we can work out a working relationship, and, you know, we convince them to join us. And once they join us, I need to make sure that I keep giving them challenging work to do. Because as soon as we hire people, we forget about them. And millennials are very restless. They get very disillusioned very quickly. And you know, often long and tedious training programs can put them off, and they start doubting and questioning why did they join this. Especially our kind of work is very tedious. And if you were to, you know, not explain properly and get them to start monitoring their papers from the first day, they can start feeling very bored of the work, and, you know.
Yeah,
so
it's very mechanical.
Very mechanical. So we have to make sure that we invest in the induction programs and keep giving them challenging work to do, so that if their personality suits, they should be elevated to new roles, new responsibilities. And in sales and business development, our clients keep giving us enough challenges. So I put the best people on the job, and I make sure that I keep giving them interesting work to do. I make sure they are the ones who are doing all the exciting work, and I do the boring work at the back. I don't try and steal their limelight. And once I get addicted to that, they stay, and then they do very well. Yeah.
Good. Pietro, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I think it's very hard, and but as well, family businesses are not like other businesses, so there is an added maybe hardship there.
Yes, you have to hire the family into the business.
Yeah,
so
you
you have easy employees very quick.
Family
I don't
talent.
know if good, but at least you
Yes.
have to fire
Yes.
many.
Yes.
Go on.
I'm not sure about the hardship we have in that. We're not hiring a lot of people right now, but I can tell in the IT department it's very hard to get the people that we need, because I mean there are many requests. Bigger companies.
We compete. That is something that's very real, and it's what goes to the follow-up question. But we do compete in the hiring of talent with the whole market pool, because we are so small that there is no specialized market pool for our industry, right? This is what you're saying. Yeah. Good. What I wanted to ask you is, starting with Kanika. No, sorry, the other way around. Starting with Pietro, because, yeah. Where do you see your industry in 5, and then where do you see your industry in 10 years?
It's a very hard question. I'm not sure I can answer. I can just tell that it's always hard to get the attention of the people, because time is really little, and the time for the companies, for the communication and the marketing, to create content, it's so extended. Like, to create some content, you need a lot of time. And so you really need to, the clients try to get the interest at companies that give them value on the first spot. So if you don't give some value before, it's very hard to do anything. And in 5 years, I'm not sure where we will be. For sure, social media will be big. And I don't see that, we don't see that going away.
What do you think about print?
About print?
Yes.
In Italy, at least, it will be depending on the public financement, on the public finance, and it's going less and less. The ad spend is always less, but still companies invest, some companies still invest in there. I don't know, I'm not sure if it will disappear
Sure, it will
completely
exist in
or
5
not,
years.
but there is a big question there.
Pietro, we're at 2 minutes and a half. I'm gonna let the audience give you questions so that we can stay on time. I know you're already looking at me and I'm still on time. But I want to ask you one more question. We saw the publishers here the first day talk and say, you are not our enemy. Google and Facebook are our enemy. Do you think Google and Facebook pose a threat to us and to this space?
Well, if you think about how it was some years ago, maybe publishers would be nowadays Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. But maybe they're not that bad compared to them because it's very hard to get content from Facebook. It's very hard to get it from Twitter. And I can see them doing things that companies are doing, like Talkwalker. What Talkwalker is doing, little by little, Facebook is doing. And the new tools, the tools to measure the influencers, to see what they're doing, to interact with them, Facebook is putting them available for everyone. So they are really competitors as well, and they're not that willing to give content. No one is telling them, don't do that, you cannot do that, you need to give content to third parties, like we heard. So if they don't, we're just simply out.
We're done with time, sadly enough. Is there any question from the audience right now? Come on, one quick question. I think it's the last day. We have some
What
time.
advice your boss will leave without you?
What was?
The bus for the tour.
Did I sign up? I didn't sign up. Emily, did I sign up for the bus? I'm kidding.
I think
Okay.
your timing was just perfect. Thank you all.
Thank you to the speakers. Thank you, very young, bright minds in the industry.
And thank to Carlos.